Attention musicians, I know if you're like me, being stuck in this quarantine, you've been sitting around playing every song you know. Are you looking to learn more songs? Well, I have the app for you. Whether you're a professional musician or a beginner, Ultimate Guitar is an amazing app for you. For just $2.99, you get the chords and tabs for over 1 million songs on guitar, bass, and ukulele. You also get a bunch of tools, man, amazing tools like a tuner, metronome, chord library, lessons, videos, and more. Go to ultimateguitar.com or download the app from your app store today. That's Ultimate Guitar. Let's get down.
And you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here?
It's time for How Did I Get Here? And now here is your host,
All right. Whoa. Hello. I'm Johnny. I'm your host, and welcome to the show. I hope that whoever's listening to this, if you're in Texas, I hope you're safe. I hope you're sound. I hope you're doing okay. Hope you got water, got electricity. This has been a harrowing week. I don't need to go through it. We've seen a lot of it on the news. We've been keeping up with it with friends on social media. This is just a breakdown in the whole system. I'm not laughing. I mean, I'm laughing out of the absurdity of it. It's been very upsetting. Many people have died, and that is just a travesty, man. It's a very, very, very sad situation. If you are out of water, if you are in need of clean water, if you live in Austin, you can DM me on the How Did I Get Here Facebook page. I'll put some links on the How Did I Get Here Facebook page of places where you can donate money, of places where you can go drop off water, and if you are in need of water, places you can go get water and food and stuff. This is crazy. My own personal experience with this was my power went out on a Sunday night late, and then that whole Monday and Tuesday morning thing was so intense. I feel bad for the people that went longer than that. For anyone that had to go without power when it was 9 degrees outside, that was brutal. It was brutal. I was very lucky. My friend Scott Garber was out driving around picking up my friend Gabriel Rhodes' son, and Gabe invited me to come stay at his house because he had power and water at the time. So I went over there on Tuesday afternoon and took a warm shower. It was great, and then his water went out. But the power stayed on. We got to stay warm. I made it back to my house Friday afternoon. And luckily, no pipes burst or anything. My grandma and my cousin had a pipe burst in their house. My grandma's whole bathroom ceiling came in. So luckily, someone was able to get out there and fix it. My cousin Jennifer, her boyfriend knows someone who knew how to fix it. So for a bottle of Crown Royal, he came over and fixed it. People, that's one thing about this that I will say is, the neighborly thing has been happening. I've been boiling water for friends that are in need of water, in need of a shower, needing to use a bathroom that they don't have to fill up. Now that the snow's gone, you can't melt snow and use water anymore. It's just weird, man. This was very, very intense. As I said, if you do need clean water, I've got a couple of pots here. I'm boiling water. I can boil it for you. DM me in the How Did I Get Here Facebook page, and I'll be more than happy to boil you some water, give you some directions. You need a shower or something, come on over. The water's here. All right. This is a time when people are out here helping each other, which is the one very beautiful thing about this whole thing is that it's watching people come together and help each other out and be there for each other in this dire time of need. Like this is all encompassing, Anyway, I hope that you're safe. I hope that you're sound. I'm glad that I'm back online. I'm here. I'm putting out a podcast I was supposed to put out last week. So I do have a great show for you guys today. The amazing Pauline Reese is back on the show today. She has a brand new record called Lucky Number 7. Now I was looking around. She said she was going to release it last week. And I think it is out there. Go to paulinereese.com. She has amazing duet that I'll play for you guys called Trail of Tears. It's a duet with the great legendary Willie Nelson. Yeah, man. She was putting it out on February 14th. That was it. She's like, hey, man, I'm putting this out on Valentine's Day. And, of course, the world iced over that day. So go to paulinereese.com for all of your Pauline Reese needs. She is a 2-time Entertainer of the Year, Texas Country Music, 4-time female winner of female vocalist in Texas country music, and she's played 6 Willie Nelson picnics and 2 farm aids. We have a great conversation about working with Willie. Pauline has had a pretty intense year, man. She started being a real estate agent, aside from just being a musician. She split from her husband. They got divorced. She started her new life. A lot of stuff has been going on with Pauline, so it's great catching up with her. Please enjoy my conversation with the amazing Pauline Reese. Let's get down.
Scorched by the sun, torn by the wind. His scars are signs of where
How are you doing?
he's been.
I'm okay. I'm hanging in there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I saw you
It's been
played a show.
I did. Yeah. I played a couple shows this past weekend.
How was that?
Oh, man. Fulfilling, exhausting. I think I was out of music shape, you know?
How long were the shows? I worry about that because I'm in that band Skyrocket. We play like 3-hour shows, and the next time we play a real show, it's going to kick my ass.
Right. Yeah. No, it happened. I needed a full 2-day recovery.
Where were they? You were at a beach, I saw on Instagram. Sorry, I was creeping on you.
Oh, no, that's fine. That's what friends are for. Like, we need a gig at the beach. Where is she?
Yeah.
Quick. Now, I had 3 private parties in a row, and one was actually in Dripping Springs, which is where I now live, so that was highly convenient. And I had a lot of mutual friends there, and so that was a big party. We all had a great time at that one. And then a couple private parties in South Texas. One was in Refugio.
Oh, yeah.
Heard of that one?
Yeah.
So did that show, and that was at a private ranch. So we ended up tasting the fainting goats that they had there on the property, which was a blast. We're supposed to talk about music, right?
No, you can talk about goats, man.
Talk about goats all you want.
The goats tells the bigger picture of what's going on, you know?
Yeah.
If you're that happy to have seen goats, there's something heavy going on that you're not talking about. So how were the shows were good? They kicked your ass. You felt a little beat up.
Yeah, I was pretty worn out, but I've had a lot of stressful things going on in my life right now.
You want to talk about them? Do you talk about them? I watched some of the Rock Detention the other day, and I was like, oh, good. It was a different kind of thing.
It was
Yeah.
totally different. Yeah,
I like those. I just wrote a song with Robin. Not wrote a song, but wrote on a song of his.
I talked to him about a half hour ago, and he said, "Oh, I love him. Matter of fact, he and I just worked on Caroline together."
Yeah.
So, isn't that a great song?
Yeah, it's a really good song.
Yeah, all about a friend that we had met, hanging out with the band a couple times, and she just had a urge to knock down some fountains at the hotel. It was fantastic.
Yeah. All right. So what's been going on with you?
Well, let's see. I moved out of Marble Falls to Granite Shoals momentarily, and to a temporary house with my girls, and lived there for about 3 months. And then my mom sold her house and her ranch, and we bought a place together in Dripping Springs, and I divorced my husband.
Wow.
So, yeah, all that since last March.
Wow.
Yeah. During a pandemic.
I know.
Right. Yeah. So now my mom and I live together, and we're raising the girls, and I can actually see an improvement since the divorce, so I'm glad the girls are getting the dad they deserve, and I'm happier, and things are for the better, for sure.
Yeah, that whole thing can be there's a lot wrapped up in it that unfolds as you distance yourself from the divorce. Like, eventually you don't feel weird about, I mean, I don't know. When I got divorced, I didn't even have kids or anything, but I felt guilty in these ways of like, oh, I stood in front of a lot of people and said no matter what, I would be this dude. And boy, I didn't do that, did I? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's kind of a failure is how you think about it. And a lot of people say, well, I failed. Well, it's not you, it's the marriage. The marriage failed. So you can't blame yourself too much when things like that happen. And, a huge part of what happened is just he had his vices. I'm not going to go any further with that. And there was no change with those vices. And so I had to be the mom I had to be. And the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life is to leave someone that I loved dearly.
Yeah.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry that you had to go through that, but are you feeling a little lighter now?
I am. Yeah, definitely. Like I said, sometimes those things just have to happen so that everyone involved can live a better life. And that's literally what's happening for everyone. So my girls are happy. They're settled in. They understand why mommy did what she did. And they have a new school, new friends, new softball team. So, and things are good on the other side as well.
Good.
Yeah. So it can be a positive.
It can.
But getting through the mire is the hard part, like you were talking about. That's really difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So this is what I want to know. Why? Mommy made lucky number 7 a while back, right? Now I'm calling you mommy if you don't mind.
Big. Okay. It's kind of creepy, but okay.
Can I tell you something creepy before I go on?
Did you tell me something
No,
creepy?
can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm only saying this because I think that you would actually laugh at this, okay?
Okay.
So we had some text message exchanges over the last month or so, right? I was at the beach and you were like, hey, what's your address? And I was like, oh, this is my address. I gave it to you. Then you're like, hey, did you get my Christmas card? And I hadn't gotten it, right? And then I got it, so I said I should let her know. And when I opened the Christmas card, I noticed that it was just you and your daughters. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I'm like, hey, I got your Christmas card. And you're like, oh, great. And you're like, hey, you doing all right? And I'm like, yeah, doing great. How are you doing? You're like, well, I got divorced and blah, blah, blah. And, moving. And, it's been a heavy change year, right? And then I was like, oh, man, sorry to hear that. And you were like, well, hey, I'd really love to come over and hang out with you again. And I was like, Pauline Reese? For literally like maybe 11 minutes, I was like, well, how do I answer this? I mean, I always thought she was cute, but I mean, what do you say? And then I realized that I was like, oh, come over here again, because last time we did the podcast. And so then I realized you weren't just weirdly hitting on me over text.
No.
Through a Christmas card and stuff. Yeah. Right, because then I thought you were real weird. For those 11 minutes, I was like, woo, man, she's a weirdo.
She's a weirdo. Come on over.
Anyway, I feel like you and I hit it off as good friends from the first minute we met. And then you invited me to play that great show with you. Remember that? That was a good time.
Yeah, Gypsies. Yeah, that was
Gypsies.
really fun.
And anyway, I felt like you and I were friends enough that I could tell you that was actually what went through my mind. But that's also tells you where I'm at, just sitting in my apartment alone, like, Someone's going to hit on me at any moment.
It's the COVID creeper.
The COVID creeper. So
Hashtag COVID.
back to lucky number 7. Now,
Yeah,
you made this album a while back, right?
I did. I made it 3 years ago.
Okay.
So
And you've released 2 singles from it.
correct. And I released an EP with 6 songs at my live shows
Okay.
on like the little digital download cards. And so, I mean, life just really got in the way. Sometimes, back to my situation, I was so caught up in taking care of the other person, I completely forgot about myself. Completely. I mean, to the point of like, okay, self-care, Pauline, like when's the last time you took care of yourself?
Right,
So I learned a lot. It was certainly something that I needed to be the full human being, is the way I look at it now, looking back. But that took up all of my time. And, my ex-husband had broken his neck about that time when I went out to release Save Your Breath and promote the single.
Right.
So he had a rodeo accident, and it was a big deal. So everything got put on hold right then. I was like, well, life stops. I have to take care of him. And so I literally spent over a month in hospitals with him and trying to determine, what kind of surgery with people that we had used in the past. Tandy Freeman is a family friend, and he's a family friend to most rodeo families. So I was talking with him, and Michael Mark Murphy was a wonderful resource. He was very concerned and very helpful. So talking to the president of the Texas Medical Board, and then just finding the right doctor, because he was out of it. They had him on Dilaudid from the get-go. And he actually overdosed on the Dilaudid and quit breathing. And so that was a whole thing. The nurse came in, and I was like, you better wake him up or I'm going to run screaming through this hospital.
Yeah.
I was like, you wake him up now. And she pushed a pen into his cuticle bed, and he woke up. So, I was just completely ensconced in that whole survival mode situation. I didn't see my kids for almost a month. We had friends come in and take care of them. Family was a huge help. My sister redid our entire house so that if he had to be in a special bed and we had to move things that, we could. So yeah, music took a back seat for sure. Canceled all my shows. And then after that, the depression and the vices got worse, and it was affecting all of us and the kids. And so Mommy Bear had to do what she had to do. And so, yeah, it was just trying to keep it together for the last 3 years. The kids are in sports, they're in school. I'm trying to do music and tour, meaning just, playing Texas and having gigs with the band and manage all that. And then I got my real estate license.
I saw that
2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so then I'm learning a whole new trade. And I had 2 short-term rentals because there just wasn't enough money to pay all the bills. And I wasn't going to ask everybody like, hey, go fund me.
Right.
I'm just not one of those people. I'm like,
No.
Put my boots on, pull my bootstraps up, and just freaking do it. Whatever has to be done. And then I wore myself out completely, burning the candle at both ends and the emotional stress on top of all of that. So I sold one of my B&Bs, ended up shutting the other one down to focus on real estate. I was really proud of myself to let something go. So now I'm finally at a point where I feel like we're settled and I can start focusing on my music more. which is pretty exciting. So yeah, I do have a little pep in my step.
That's good. That's good. You sound like you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You ready to get going again?
I am.
Yeah. So, you talked about this with these guys on that podcast. I never go see someone else's interviews. I know that sounds weird before I interview them because I don't want to avoid talking about things that I would talk about because they've already talked. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But there is something about this. There's like a Texas country music world.
Yeah.
And there it seems to be like to me rootsier than what's happening in Nashville sort of country, where I feel like their thing is kind of based on more hip hop and Def Leppard. You know what I mean?
Right. It's about a certain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And there seems to be a lot, but the Texas country seems to have retained its organic base. You know what I'm saying? Like it's if it is rock and roll, it's more of an AC/DC kind of rock and roll, not an overproduced thing, but like just a.
Agreed.
Yeah.
A little more organic.
Yeah.
Like I would compare it to like the Allman Brothers type vibe that was more of a live sound.
Right.
That wasn't huge like Hell Freezes Over by the Eagles. It wasn't produced live that way. It's just a little like, here we are, and I hope you like our song. Because it's more about the song than it is anything else. It's about the lyrics and the vibe, as opposed to here's another song that's so clean that you're listening to the music and not the lyrics. That's kind of how I tend to listen to Nashville music a lot. I listen to more of the production and the music than I do the lyrics with that. Whereas Texas music, my focus is on the lyrics.
Right.
You know, the songwriter.
I get the feeling with the Nashville thing is that these songs are written by people that may not necessarily have anything to do with the artist, and they're in like an office building trying to write a hit song, where I feel like the Texas country thing, where if you get together with somebody to write a song, it's maybe on your porch. There's a beer, you're talking about your lives, and you kind of write a song. I
think you hit the nail on the head. Most of my songs that I co-write or have co-written have been in the living room of my little farmhouse or on my porch. Waylon Payne and I wrote a song on my front porch, and it was one of the most magical days that I'd had in a long time. It was great. And just, you know, you can't force it either. A lot of those songs to me feel forced. And so I started doing these things called ride and writes, where if we sit down with a cup of coffee and our notepads and our guitars and we just start talking and the writing starts to flow, then cool, let it flow. But if we just don't really have the inspiration at that moment, then I'm like, let's go ride the horses for a little while. And somehow getting out in nature, being with an animal, especially with people who hadn't ridden that much, you know, it's just so much fun, and they get excited and inspired, and then we'll be talking about just random things, go, oh, that's it, that's the idea, let's go back and write it. yeah let's talk about your writing. Like, I mean, obviously you've gone through a pretty tumultuous year. Let me ask you real quickly about like 2020, when everything kind of slowed down and stopped. Were you able to step back and breathe? No. Okay. Not at all. When I lived in Granite Shoals, I didn't have that many shows. Fortunately, I was able to have unemployment at that time. And then I started getting more and more real estate happening. So that was very fortunate. I had a little bit of downtime there, and Robin and I wrote a lot. We were trying to hold each other accountable to meet once a week and write. And I was just so sad that I couldn't write sad songs. Does that make sense?
Totally makes
You're just-
sense. It totally makes
Yeah.
sense. You might have been in that self-soothing phase where you're like, I just want to write something happy.
Right. Yeah. I
Yeah.
just need to talk about something other than what's going on with me, So a lot of our songs were right up his alley that were kind of, I had a little 80s flair to them, and they were happy and they were rocking and it was fun. But, I feel like I'm finally at a point where I have some room to breathe and I can start harnessing that energy and talk about it and write about it. So we did one little session where we talked about it and wrote a tune, but still getting settled with all that.
How much do you write with others?
Not a lot.
No.
Not a lot. I do really well on my own because I'm one of those people who I write a ton when I'm on the road. So I like to be on the road. I like to be driving somewhere for hours because that's when I get inspired. And I think a lot of that is no responsibility, right? Because
right.
I'm single mom, 2 kids, working 2 jobs. You can't sit down and relax at home. You're thinking, what if I just put on a load of laundry and then I'll sit down. Wait, let me finish the dishes, put on the load of laundry. Oh, I need to take care of the animals. Oh, I need to do this. When I'm gone, I'm gone, right? Everything's taken care of or it's left for a later date and it's okay. So then I get inspired. I can write. So yeah, I just need someone to come up with a cure for this COVID so I can write some more songs. It's all the scientists' fault. That's it.
Well, they've come up with a vaccine. It's hard to get it to everyone that fast. I mean, you got to admit, it's been pretty miraculously quick. Like
it has really. It's been less than a year.
Yeah.
I just want the magical one, It's like, like, take this vaccine from the government. That also scares the crap out of me, honestly. Like, let us inoculate you.
Yeah.
No, please don't.
Are you friends with Jesse Dayton?
Yes, I am. I have not talked to him in a long time.
Did you ever see that movie that he wrote and directed? It's called Zombex.
What was it called? No.
It's called Zombex. Basically, the premise is after Hurricane Katrina, the residents of New Orleans and the South are very, very depressed. So the government comes up with this antidepressant to hand out to the people. They hand it out to everyone, and everyone who takes it becomes a zombie. And
I thought you were going to say it was cocaine.
No.
Here, everyone, it's an antidepressant. Don't you feel great?
It's not Jesse's
the
autobiography.
Whole country's cocaine.
I'm just joking.
Oh, I hope he watches this. I
hope not, because he could totally kick my ass up and down the street. It's not funny. I see him on the trail all the time. All right, so yeah, I'm scared too. But like when this went down, I did text him and I was like, "Hey, this is like Zombex," and he was like, "It's too much like Zombex."
Yeah. Scary. I'm gonna have to watch that. Where can I get that?
I don't know.
Where can I watch it?
I remember when I saw it. He gave me a code to watch it on a site. I don't. Okay. Maybe it's available on Amazon now. I'm not sure.
Maybe it's on his website. I'll have to check it out.
Okay, so you don't know when you're going to release Lucky Number 7, but you might. Are you going to? Or like digitally, to say someone that's just listening to this that can't come to a show and buy the 6-song CD?
So here's what I decided.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons I called Robin when before we started this show. I was like, how do I explain that? What am I going to do, with this album? I really don't know, because when my dad died 5 years ago, I put everything I owned into that album, everything that I had. Like, I literally sold things to make it happen. It
sounds expensive. It doesn't sound like a, bedroom album.
Yeah, right. It certainly was. I mean, it was a college degree for one of my children. Now, I'm like, now you have to really play softball. Be serious about it. Now you have to earn your own way. So, because mommy spent it on her album. But I talked to Robin about it, and I said, I don't know what to do, man. Because you just come to a point where sometimes you got to put the brakes on and figure it out, right? We've all done that. So I just decided, well, I'm just going to release it. That's it. So I'm making the date Valentine's, because why not? Yeah. Spread the love, spread the joy, spread the music. So it's all because of you. You pressured me. You're like, when's that? What's the release date? I'm like, I don't know. February 14th.
We started out as friends. I had 11 minutes where I was trying to figure out what our boyfriend girlfriend life would look like, and now I'm your de facto contractless manager. Yes,
who's not getting paid enough for your job.
Don't you think that, like, if you were a manager now, that's what your life would be, is not getting paid? You notice that, like, there's not a lot of managers like there used to be when you started out. There was managers all the time. Now they're all publicists.
Right. Talk to my manager. It's no manager. Now you can't
anymore.
say that. No. When I tell people it's a joke, I say, you know what? Have your people call my people. In other words, call me.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, let's talk about this, because this is actually going to come out a little bit after Valentine's. So people can go and listen to it and get familiar with some of the songs, but there is a duet with Willie Nelson on this record. It's called Trail of Tears. Who wrote that song?
So I wrote that song.
You did?
With my friend. I did, with my friend Ryan Murphy. Yeah, I had a thought, an idea, and I wrote down some lyrics, and I had the music. So I called Willie, or texted him, and I said, hey, I have this idea for this song. And I said, I would like to bucket list, write a song with you before I die. Me, not him. See how I put that? That was very nice of me. Yeah. And so he said, well, send it to me. I'll take a listen and take a look at what you have. So I did. And then one day a month went by roughly, and one day I just got inspired, and I wrote out 95% of the tune and had all my instrumentals in my head and everything that was going to happen and all the lyrics, and met up with Ryan in Red River, and I showed it to him, and he had a couple thoughts. He's like, well, what do you think about this? And what do you think? I was like, no, I really like that. I'm putting it in. It's, 50-50 now, buddy. So then once I finished it, I sent it over to him, and I said, well, here, I kind of got inspired. Do you have anything to add? Do you want to take anything out? Because then you're a co-writer. And he said, no, actually, I love it the way it is. Wouldn't change a thing. And he said, let's make it a duet. And I was like, okay, you don't have to ask me twice. So we went in and cut that song, and it's very different than anything I've ever done, but you still kind of feel the Western vibe of it, Yeah. But it could also cross over and be in a whole different realm of music. And that was the idea of this whole album, was to take all the songwriters I had grown up around and with, and create my own entity that was homage to them, but also my own thing. And it wasn't dance hall Pauline, that was playing shuffles and waltzes, It's just something creative, which is what we should do as independent artists. There's no mold, no ceiling.
Yeah. There's a lot of differences. Wanderlust Fantasy. This tune has kind of a Latin vibe to it.
Yeah.
branching out?
Yeah.
Did you write that one on your
Well,
own?
I did. Yeah. I played B. Spears, Willie's guitar or bass player for ever and ever, gave me his Fender guitar that was like Willie's, different brand name, but it was B's Road guitar. He said, "Do you have a guitar like Willie's?" And I said, "Well, I do, but Ray Hennig at the time, I brought it in to get it repaired, and he said I'd give you $20 to burn it." I was like, "Oh man, it's in that bad a shape." He said, "Yeah, Pauline, start over." I was like, "Okay." So when I told B that, I was playing a show in Fort Worth, and he went to the bus and got his guitar and gave it to me. He said, "Here, this one's yours." And I tried to make him sign it. I was like, "Sign it, man. I regret not having all these autographs on my guitars all these years." I just never was the person to be like, "Hey, take your picture with me. Hey, sign my guitar." I was just there hanging out, And so I would play that guitar to my kids every night because it was so soothing and to make them go to sleep. And I had that melody. So when I was in the middle of writing for that album, I was like, that has to go on the record because my kids are going to remember the melody.
Right.
And so I took that, and the inspiration of the melody kind of came from Freddie Powers turning me on to Django Reinhardt. So I thought about Freddie and Catherine's love story, and that's where I got inspired for that one.
Look at that. When you're writing, there's telling stories, but a song like "Save Your Breath," is that, are you telling somebody else's story, or is it like pieces of you in there, or is that like a confessional song?
I think that one is definitely pieces of my life. A lot of pieces of my life. But Ryan Murphy brought me the idea, and then we sat there, same Red River trip, and just wrote out different things about experiences that we had both had. We're like, "Oh yeah, man." And then, "Have you ever had this happen?"
Right.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's how we kind of went back and forth on that one. And then this happened. "Oh yeah, that sucks." And then we'd put that in the song, I think everyone has had that relationship, and it is most relationships where you're trying to communicate with each other. That is 9/10 of a relationship. It's just communication, right? And you're trying to communicate with each other, and then you spend an hour talking, and then at the end of the hour, you end up, the other person comes right back to the beginning and says the exact same thing they said in the beginning, and you just want to strangle them.
Yeah.
You're like, "What was the last hour of my life about?"
Yeah.
So you know what? Save your breath.
Exactly.
Communicate. So write it down. I don't know. Call a therapist.
Hey, let me ask you this other question about Willie Nelson real quick. So you played 6 Willie Nelson picnics. You played 2 Farm Aids. How did you connect with Willie?
Well, I met this lady through salsa dancing, ironically, when I was about 15.
Okay, real quick.
What?
So you wanted to salsa dance when you were 15?
I wanted to experience everything I could experience in my life.
Okay.
So
Salsa.
the salsa dancer.
Okay, and you met a lady there.
No, actually, the
Oh.
salsa dancer came to see me perform at Saxon Pub and then said, "I have somebody you have to meet." And so he took me to her house, which, I was like calling my mom, "Okay, the salsa instructor is taking me to this lady's house. If I get kidnapped, here's his license plate number."
Right.
She introduced me to Freddie Powers. Freddie Powers wrote a lot of songs in country music, a lot of #1 hits. Merle Haggard cut a lot. Willie cut some. George Jones, on and on. And so Freddie took me under his wing and introduced me to Willie with Pootie and the whole gang. First time was at Saxon Pub. actually, Willie had one of those little pop-ins there, and they knew, the whole crew knew about it. So they took me down there and went backstage and got to meet him. And then they started talking about my singing and songwriting, and he just invited me to different picnics at that point. And I got up on stage with him and sang harmonies. And I think for me, this is my interpretation and my opinion, but when I got on stage with him, Freddie's the one who pushed me up there. This was at Lukenbach. And he said, all the words and the harmonies, right? And I said, well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
He said, good, come on, you're going to go sing them. And I was like, what? Hold on. Are you kidding? Okay, I'm ready for this. Sure. Am I ready for this? I think I'm ready. And then I sang harmonies with him, and I could follow all of his little
Willie-isms.
Willie-isms,
Yeah.
yes, that he does. And he looked over at me at one point, and he had this look on his face like, are you kidding me? I was like, man, she's got me down, you know? He was changing things up, and it wasn't like the record, but I could tell by the way he moved his head and just different things. I knew what he was going to do, and he looked over at me, and he just gave me that nod, and I was like, I just won a Grammy.
Yeah, exactly, man. What a great feeling.
In my own mind. Yeah. So then I was hooked. Then I was like, okay, I was a Willie fan before, but now I'm all in. Like anything I'm invited to, of course I would have gone anyway, but I was just really excited to have respect. It was very fulfilling as an artist. Even just that nod, that did it for me,
Well, then he invited you to play 6 picnics and 2 farm aids. That's pretty good too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Save the World Day.
Oh, yeah.
Earth Day, that's what it was. Earth Day.
Oh, yeah, Earth Day. Is that still a thing?
Yeah. I mean, it exists, but I don't think there's a concert in Austin.
Okay.
They had them every year in Austin for a long time.
What else is going on with you? Like, you like real estate?
So, okay. So I really do love it.
Yeah.
It's very fulfilling because I do a lot of large ranches, which is a blast. You hop on a Polaris or a Gator and you go out and you show people ranches and you talk about, well, this tank and that well and these cows and that sort of thing, and you can build your house here or it's just, that's really fulfilling. And then I do a lot of commercial real estate, which I did not see myself doing. Most people don't like it, but I love it because downtown Marble Falls needed a revamp. It was just sitting there. There were some great shops that weren't getting recognized because the traffic is one giant highway a block off of the main street. A lot of people didn't know there was a historic downtown. And so the EDC was working hard to put signs up and promote the historic downtown. In the meantime, I was trying to bring business into downtown that would mesh together to make it walkable. And I ended up doing a lot of that, bringing the right business downtown, like restaurants and it was in a little meat market, that only sells local. So just really fun things that people could go down and experience the historic Marble Falls. And so now seeing my clients thrive with their restaurants and their businesses down there, I was like, yeah, I did something good for other people in a sense, Mm-hmm. So I enjoy it. Very fulfilling, and it's also helping me support my kids.
Sure.
And be independent, which is huge as well. But is it my passion? No,
that's
not my passion.
It's good to be able to have fun though while you're doing something and enjoy it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like all of the contracts and things, but it's just part of it. Same with music biz. It's like, contracts.
I know. Contracts, baby. So I have a couple more things I want to get from you. And one of them is what's that?
My address
Yeah, can I get your address?
for a Christmas card.
I didn't think you were just going to show up. Oh, you know what? I do owe you a Christmas card. I could see you like sitting there stewing, going like, I sent him a Christmas card. He never sent me one back. Like, what kind of person is this? I thought single dudes were like allowed to not send Christmas. I've kind of used that as my groove.
Yeah.
Like,
No, you get a hall pass.
What am I going to be like it's in a picture of myself sitting by myself on my couch. Like, Merry Christmas for me, the sad, lonely guy on the couch.
Just you and the microphone.
It's me and the microphone and zooming with somebody.
Right.
No, but with things moving online and stuff, I know you're starting to play some shows out. Are you doing any live stream shows?
So I was doing that immediately when the pandemic happened. I was like, okay, I guess we're going to live streaming, because I had already been doing a show. I can't remember what the platform was, but I would invite friends out to my ranch and we would swap stories and songs. It was really fun. I had Michael Mark Murphy, I had Gary P. Nunn, but it was just a room in my house, and we would do that. So I was like, oh, I'm ready for this. Bring on the live streaming, right? Right. And at first, it was packed. There were a lot of people watching, a lot of people donating to musicianship, and knowing that we couldn't go play live. Right. Then it just kind of dwindled off because the internet became so saturated.
Yeah, it dried up pretty fast.
Yeah, so I quit doing it. I was like, no, I had a thing called Pauline's Porch, and it even had some band shows where we were socially distanced on my porch. And it was a blast, and I'm glad we did it, but it was a lot of work. Right. A lot of work.
Very little return.
Very little return. Yeah. So.
Okay, so then my next question is, you're going to put out Lucky Number 7. It'll be out, but then creatively, you're kind of like wide open now. That record's out. You're in a whole new, like you've been extricated from your life from a year ago, and you're in a whole new space, which at some point is probably going to be pretty inspiring to write about. Where do you think you'll be going musically?
Well, something that I've never done because I never took the time to do it, and I regret it tremendously now because some of my friends have passed away, is doing a duet album. I wanted to do that for so long with a lot of the Texas artists like Johnny Lee and Johnny Rodriguez and all the Johnnies.
Oh.
And there's like so many Johnnies.
Yeah, I'm ready for a duet.
Perfect. So we have to write a song to make it happen. So yeah, some of them I might do some cover songs of theirs as a duet. Some of them we might write together. Like Johnny Rodriguez told me he's never written a song with anybody. And I said, well, you're about to. This was like 4 or 5 years ago. You're about to, son of a gun. And so he was like, oh, I don't do that. Well, he ended up giving me an idea. He just got inspired and wrote it when we were staying on the ranch down there in Alice and handed it to me. So I'm like, okay, now I want to finish this song and go cut it as a duet. Right. Something he's never done, something original, something creative. And so I mentioned this to my friend, John Arthur Martinez, who's a singer-songwriter and producer. And I said, I like the way your production sounds on your albums. And I think that would be a perfect fit for this idea that I have. And so he said, I'm in. And he is so pumped up and excited about it. He's revamping his entire studio.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about that.
So a duets album coming in the future from you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what it's going to be. That's the creative part. It might be country. It might be, I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, it's going to definitely lean towards country. I just don't, it's not all going to be shuffles. I know that. I'm shuffled out.
Yeah, we all are. We all are. We're all shuffled out, man. Speaking of shuffles, we lost Mr. White from the Broken Spoke the other day. Were you guys close?
Very close. Yeah. I had been playing at that bar since I was 15.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, what is that? 10 years now?
Yeah.
Did I touch? Just kidding. It was a little bit longer. A little bit.
I've been waiting this whole time for a chance to say that's what she said, and I haven't had a chance. So yeah, I didn't know them very well. Like obviously what I do, they wouldn't have really known me or anything. But I have. Do you know Brenda Mitchell?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've known Brenda Mitchell since I was like, I don't know if we've had this conversation, but she made that Honky Tonk Heaven movie about it.
Yes.
And I feel like that's where I really learned about him. I didn't really know that much about him before.
Yes, I was a part of that film and the
You
book
were in it?
Donna did. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I was.
I saw it. I just haven't seen it in a while.
I was a fixture at the Broken Spoke for many, many years. And I think until 2010, I released Just Getting Started, and we were pushing a more pop sound.
Right.
So it didn't really fit. And then, of course, I would have my show there every now and then, like every couple of months. I would still play there, but I didn't do the regular date.
Right.
So it's more like hit up James and be like, hey, I'm looking for a spoke date. I'm missing my country roots. What do you have open? And I would go play my country show there. So then I kind of had two different shows. One was rockin'.
And then one was country.
And one was country, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I grew up with a lot of that rock music. So I was all about that. It was really fun to do something different. But yeah, if I had done that show at the Broken Spoke, Annetta would have walked up and kicked me off the stage.
Oh yeah, I had an experience with her.
Did you?
Yes. I was playing a private thing there. I've only played there a couple of times. They were private things with Skyrocket, and one was Tito's birthday, and the other one was Tito's Christmas party.
Yeah.
And I walked up to say hi because I know Brenda, and I basically I'm friends with a lot of people that they've raised or whatever. So I tried to say hi, and then she just told me that she couldn't wait for our band to get off stage. Their daughter was standing right there, though, and immediately came up and was like, "Oh, she just doesn't understand. I love it. And she was, she was having a good time. So
that was probably Jenny.
Yeah,
they have a couple of daughters, but yeah, Jenny is just one of the sweetest people on the planet, and yeah, I would tell her stories, about different things that happened. And one in particular that sticks in my head, it's hilarious. James and Annetta were there when I was doing my sound check, and the band was doing all their stuff before I got up there. So I had a Chick-fil-A spicy sandwich, and I was sitting there eating it. And James was standing there fooling around doing something. Annetta came up, and she said, "You cannot get that. You can't eat that here. Get that crap out of here. We feed you guys food, and you need to eat our food." And James looks over, and he's looking at me like, "Oh, how's she going to respond to this?" And I said, "The day that you can make a chicken sandwich taste like this is the day I will eat your food. And until then, I'm going to sit here with my spicy chicken, my pickles, and my mustard, and I'm going to eat every bit of it, and then I'm going to lick my fingers and play your bar." And James cracked up.
That's awesome.
And she started laughing. Thank goodness, because I thought, oh, here's my last show at the Broken Spoke, right?
Yeah.
I was eating gosh darn spicy chicken sandwich. And James came up to me afterwards, and he said, "Now that's how you handle Annetta." And I said, "Well, I just figured that out. Thank goodness. I thought I was fired."
Yeah, no joke, man. Well, I'm sorry for your loss. That's a sad day.
I didn't know how old he was. And when I heard he's 81, I believe. he 81. That kind of made me feel a little bit better because he's lived such a full life.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And he just, I mean, he had so much fun. He loved what he did for musicians and just people in general. So yeah, I feel very sad, but also at the same time, I'm like, I'm okay with it. I'm like, all right, James lived his life the way he wanted to and had a ball doing it every night. Smile on his face every night.
Yeah. Well, Pauline, it's been great catching up with you. Always great.
too.
And we'll stay in touch so that way it's not as weird when you reach out next time or when I reach out. For me.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
I secluded myself. I shouldn't have done that.
No, I understand. I mean, now knowing what was going on, I'm glad you made it through. And I've always thought very highly of you. Like that time when we did that show and stuff, you were very gracious and just very open and cool. And I always think that like country people hate rock dudes. Most, not just because of my experience with Annetta, but like just in general, I always assume like, oh, they're going to hate me. But I do appreciate you. If you ever want to write a song, I would totally write a song with you. And people can keep up with you through paulinereese.com. You keep that updated?
I do. And I think really socials these days is the best. I mean, the Pauline Reese official on Facebook has a lot of information and is linked to my, Spotify and Instagram, all of that stuff. But socials are a good way to follow the adventure.
Of course.
And it's an adventure. Let me tell you.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Well, it was great catching up with you again. Oh, sorry.
I already have an idea for a song we can write.
Okay, good.
So I'm going to write it down when we get off this podcast.
Okay, good. Yeah, I need to be writing more.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the time that you take to do this, to talk to artists and to let people know what our lives are really like.
Yeah.
That's really, really amazing and special that you do that. And it takes a lot of time and thought and energy. So I'm really grateful for that and appreciative of you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much for saying that. Well, I'm appreciative of you too.
I wouldn't do it. I'd be like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
I got
things I have to do.
I got ranches and commercial properties.
That's right.
Well, it's been great talking to you, Pauline.
Same here, friend.
Another run-in with the Lord. Can't stay here.
Always a nice conversation with the lovely and talented Pauline Reese. What a great person, man. Always great. Can you believe I really did think that she was kind of hitting on me, and then it took me a second to realize that. What an ego on this guy. Anyway, always great catching up with her. Get out there, check out her album, Lucky Number 7. We'll hear the rest of her duet with Willie Nelson, Trail of Tears, right after I stop talking. And don't forget, gang, when you're out there checking out paulinereese.com, which is where you can find all things Pauline Reese, you can subscribe to this podcast wherever it is you find podcasts, be it Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Overcast. If you use the Podbean app, you'll be able to access over 1,020 episodes. All of the episodes are available on there. So go there and check it out, or go to howdidagethere.podbean.com to search through our archives. And listen, if you are in need of anything, I will post links on our How Did I Get Here Facebook page to places where you can get water, places where you can get food, also places where you can volunteer, places where you can donate, okay, if you're on the other side of this. And please stay safe. Please be careful out there. And if you do need something and you're in the Austin area and you can get over here to me, you need a shower, you need some boiled water, DM me in the How Did I Get Here Facebook page, and I will invite you over and give you directions and take care of your water needs however best I can. Hang in there, everyone. All right? Hang in there. Let's hear the rest of this song, Trail of Tears. This is Willie Nelson and the great Pauline Reese. Have a much better week than last week, you guys. Let's get down.
Another run-in with the Lord. Can't stay here, boy, keep moving on.
was his own.